Just like that. Yeah, there we go. What'd you miss? I don't think you missed a whole lot. All we were doing was cleaning everything up, making it so like for these shadows that it's just like a little checkbox. You know, cast shadows. And like our shadow noise multiplier, we could have noisy shadows or not noisy shadows. And we were just organizing everything nicely. Alright, that's looking halfway decent. Now the other question is, should we be able to change out the mesh? Yeah, we probably want to be able to change out the mesh if we want to. So let's see if we can make a waterfall mesh. So falls mesh, and this will be a static mesh component reference. This is the mesh that is used for the waterfall. Compile that, throw it up there, and throw it as a default. What is this? This is a static mesh asset, not a static mesh component. Alright, so we just want a static mesh. Why can't I do that? Why can't I edit this? Alright, there it goes. I had to compile it before I could edit it. Alright, so inside of the construction script, you're going to need to set this. So, waterfall mesh, hidden shadow mesh. Yeah, so we'll want to set the static mesh to the mesh. Yeah, nothing too much going on. We're just dragging nodes around. This is my life now. Alright, so that should allow us to basically completely change everything about the waterfall without having it get all screwy. Yeah, we can change the waterfall mesh, all the materials, all that stuff. So that's pretty cool. I like that. And that's pretty much what I think. You know, I've been looking at a whole lot of stuff like this. I mean, one other thing we might want to think about is kind of that. It would be interesting if the edges had foam and all that sort of crap. Gotta leave something for Adam to do, though, right? Like, he can put that on the texture, or we can actually have it be dynamic, or we could use particles, or we could do whatever we need to. Let's put some gigantic mushrooms, just because we can. Shows you how ridiculously bright the damn things are. Interesting that it doesn't light up Bitey. Alright, so static and stationary are different things. We'll need stationary mushrooms. We'll get stationary lighting. Static lighting is just baked in and into the textures and doesn't do anything at runtime. Alright, interesting. That's ridiculous, they're so bright. So we'll need like another mushroom sort of thing. Where did we have that? In landscape? But then we added them somewhere. Gameplay. Objects cave, mini mushroom. And let's duplicate this. Let's do mini mushroom. Dynamic. And this one, point light, set the light, set light color, set cast shadows. Yeah, alright, so this is inside of that loop. Light color, intensity, shadows. Set. What is it? It's the set mobility. Set mobility, blueprint, Unreal. Let's see. Unchange mobility settings. Because it's not set mobility. What the hell is it? Like I know we did this before. I mean, there's like get mobility, right? Let's see if anything calls set mobility. Only safe to set in constructor. Oh yeah, right. There was a... Right, okay, so this is... Some of these functions are weird, and maybe eventually I will understand this. I mean, it'll get drilled into my head. The reason that this mobility is set is because this function thing is also like a constructor thing, so I can actually set it right here. So we'll set this thing to stationary. So now we can save that, and the mushroom dynamic thing can work. So if we go to this, this is custom foliage component with a mesh on it, mini shroom. So we don't have any real stuff that we can access here. Like we have a mesh, but this custom foliage component... Should I get the drill? Yeah, please. Nah, the custom foliage component, I've got this blueprint here which has a class variable on it in the level folder. The only issue is we can't customize this stuff inside of it, which is kind of annoying. Like there's no parameters that we can pass in here. So there's two options. Like if you wanted to put something in here, you would have like the shroom component. The other thing I could add would be like the custom class or something to this and pass it in somehow and make it available. No, I don't see anything on the foliage stuff that I can really hook into. So if I was, I think basically what happens here is we're just gonna duplicate the blueprint. So I'd go to cave, like I'd duplicate this object, and I would do what's the name of that thing? Dynamic mini mushroom. And this would be component. I'll move this over there. And I should be able to add another foliage type here. I can't just copy this? I don't understand this. I want to add another one. What the fuck? I can't just add this thing? You know, sometimes I get upset with this thing. Alright, so this class that we have here should be mini mushroom dynamic. So mini mushroom should be that one. This component here is supposed to be the one that actually has mini mushroom dynamic. And these lights are stationary, so I should be able to build them in and have the light work properly. Only one sprite per foliage. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not super familiar with all the foliage crap, but it's looking for something else, I think. So there we go. Bitey can stand on top of his mushroom. And he can glow. That looks pretty cool. Bitey with the sweet underglow. The slow creep. He's just like, I don't like moving on that terrain. Let's build that again. Yeah, the collision on him is a little funky. And that's because the mushrooms are not made for collision. Bitey's cousin Slidey. Cool. Bright mushrooms. Alright, so we now have no importance volume found. Please add a tightly bounded light mass importance volume to optimize your scene's quality and lighting build times. Alright, well let's just go snag one of those. Light mass, importance volume. Not really sure what this is supposed to look like. Please add a tightly bounding light mass importance volume to optimize your scenes. I'll just read this real quick. Light mass, importance, volume, EU4. Alright, UE4. Alright, so the light mass importance volume. Many maps have meshes outside of the edge of the grid in the editor, but the actual playable area that needs high quality lighting is much smaller. Light mass emits photons based on the size of the level, so the background meshes will greatly increase the number of photons that need to be emitted. Lighting build times will increase. Okay, so basically we need a mesh that is big enough for the playable level. Come on, I just want to select all three of these things. Is that so hard? Now I gotta pump the goddamn mouse to get this thing to actually scale up. That's so goddamn annoying. When it's easier to just key in the values than to use their damn systems, huh? Alright, is it going to be happy now that I've set up the importance volume? I mean, large actor receives a pre-shadow will cause extreme performance hit unless cast dynamic shadows is false. I mean, can we just ignore that error or warning? Like, that's what it's supposed to be. Alright, let's see if we can correct this error or warning. I've tried setting mobility, blah blah blah, blah blah. I mean, it'd be nice if we could get rid of the fucking warning, because this is how you ignore all the map check stuff. Is you can't disable warnings that aren't supposed to be warnings. I like how Googling disable map check warning is not getting anything. It's just a whole bunch of people reporting errors and stuff like that, and nothing on like how to actually disable something. It's saying like, oh, you should fix these, and it's like, well, what if I don't give a damn? It's like, no, that's a big shadow object. It's supposed to be movable. Like, that's exactly what we need to have happen. I mean, if I make this thing, this shadow mesh, it won't work. Like, the shadows won't work if it's not movable. Like, that's stupid. That's stupid. Everybody's stupid. I'm stupid. I don't give a damn though. I don't know. It probably rubs me the wrong way, especially because as a server engineer, logs and warnings are incredibly important and have specific meanings. Like, if you have a warning, it means there's something wrong and somebody needs to fix it. You know, like somebody gets woken up in the middle of the night and just be like, hey, the database is saying that, you know, it's taking 100 milliseconds longer than it should to respond. This is bad. You know, we could be, you know, a couple hours away from an outage here or something like that. Versus a lot of game developers where it's like a warning is like, you know, somebody slapped in some stuff like, this shouldn't be here, sort of, you know, something weird happened, but it doesn't actually mean anything is really that wrong. Now, what are all these? Are those like shadow map artifacts that are happening on these? If I change this, it'll make it movable. And I build stuff. The boy who shouted wolves, yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's something weird with this material here. Like, you can see there's all these... I'm guessing that's the shadow maps from all the rocks and everything. Coming in with an extreme angle on that sun. Is it just me, or because we added like this light mass importance volume, that the lighting building is taking forever? Oh hey, they're gone. No, they're not. God damn it. I'm guessing it has something to do with the shadow maps. So let's see if we can change anything with those shadow maps. Like, I guess it's on the sky sphere. Let's see which light it's actually going to be. It's that light. Okay, so cast shadows. We set that to false. Number of dynamic maps. So basically we just need to change the time of day here. Let's see, where is the rise angle? That's the height angle. So we had it at 1, and that's where we're getting kind of these bad shadows. So maybe 2 or 3? Does that work? That still looks all sorts of garbage. See if it needs to be rebuilt or something. Yeah, I think because we actually added a light mass importance volume on this thing, this lighting is now taking freaking forever to build. Maybe because it's actually now building the lighting properly? I'm checking out if changing the sky spheres distance gives us better resolution on the shadow maps. Doesn't look like it. It's really just that the shadow, like the angle with the rocks, is not very good. Well, I guess it's just something to think about, is like if we actually have things that are like that, it's a problem. You know, don't have this sort of thing. Which I don't like. I guess that's kind of the thing with, yeah, because I changed the universe, the edge of the universe, and made it closer. Computers are weird. So I'll rebuild that lighting, leave it like that, and is there anything else with the waterfalls that we need to do? No, I don't think so. I think we're good to go. It looked a lot better with that lower angle in the sky. Okay, so the next thing that we want to look at is how do we actually make, you know, like we've got our waterfall stuff going on. Let's actually take one of these waterfalls and see how it looks over in the other map. If we had a gigantic waterfall way off in the distance, would it look good? To actually turn on, let's see how it looks during the day and all that sort of stuff. Let's see, we will make the day-night cycle 0.5. one. Because it does have subsurface stuff on it. Should we turn on the subsurface stuff? Building the giant Niagara Fall image? Yeah, pretty much. Let's see, this should have subsurface multiplier, 0.25. So this has that super white outline there because we have that subsurface color that comes through. But we're not using it, are we? Or are we? Because its yellow is getting reflected off of that. That's, I guess, the color of the light. Yes, that looks fine. Even though it's just this big blob of stuff on the back here. It's kind of crazy when you think about it, but this landscape here is nearly the same size as this entire landscape here is nearly the same size as this damn cave. I mean, they're not actually that far apart from each other in terms of the actual size of the stuff in it. Alright, the next thing is to actually start working on this water surface, I think. And how we'll be doing that. And I think that's a pretty good stopping point for today. I've been up for a while, working on stuff, especially with all that horrible frustration with dealing with the map. We got the waterfalls up there working. So I think we're pretty much good to go. So I think that'll be it. Unless anybody's got some crazy shenaniganry I should start looking at. You know, we did the math. We did the math. This will be a thumbs up. There we go. I drew a hand. So there we go. One thing down, only an innumerable more. So let's just update our thumbnail. Save that bad boy out, and I'll check it in. So I'm gonna turn off the stream here. I might be on later. We'll see if I feel like it or not. But have a good one. And I will see you guys some other time.